What's up, Royals? I'm Kai. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to the final installment of the series where we try to figure out if we have an albino or a Candino straight out of their eggs. So stick around, grab some popcorn. You're watching Lucas Landon Royals. All right, so I was kidding about grabbing popcorn. In fact, this is probably one of the shorter videos. Now, I've had these animals long enough, and I'm pretty confident what is albino is going to be albino, and what is Candino has been properly identified as Candino. And after this video, I will be making some of these animals available. I know I got some interest, and I had to turn people away or tell them to hold off because I needed to keep all these animals in order to make these videos, because I wanted to see if my theory of looking at the eyes of a Candino or albino and seeing the darker pigments would be correct or not. So I had to hold on to all the animals. So that's probably 2 clutches of albinos and Candinos that I had to hold on to. One of the benefits of having them for such a long period of time is that now when I do list them, I can list them as either albinos or Candinos rather than just saying albino / Candino, because it's hard to tell them apart when they were younger. The other upside to this is that they not only had their 5 consecutive meals, but they've had probably 15 to 17 consecutive meals. So they're bigger and they're hardier. So now that they've got some size to them and had a few sheds, we can definitely tell the albinos from the Candinos based on the colors of their bodies, not just their eyes. So now let me get them out. We'll take a look at them and we'll review our theory and compare that against what we see today. So first, let's take a look at a couple that we've always thought to be albinos. And you can see even now, they don't have that lavenderish color. It's just white in between all those yellows. So we got 2 here. I don't want to mix them up. I'm only taking out 2 at a time because they all have, their IDs on their tubs, and I don't want to mix things up. But these are 2 albinos, and we've always thought that they were albinos. Now let me put these back and get the next 2. All right, so now these 2 are interesting because we've been focusing on these 2 pretty much the entire series. We've said that this one, which has the darker eyes, is a Candino, and then over here, the one with the brighter eyes is the albino. And the only thing that was noticeable out of the eggs, pretty much from maybe a week or 2 after out of the eggs, was their eyes being a little bit different in color. And let me see if I can hold them and show them off to you. You guys can see that? Hopefully you can. That's a better angle. You can see the one on the right is much lighter. The one on the left is much darker. And that was all that we saw. That's all that we noticed from when they were hatched. And looks like that subtle difference was a good indicator, at least in this case, that the darker eyed one would be a Candino, and it has turned out to be a Candino. Unfortunately, that's the only one out of this entire clutch that is Candino. It's a really small sample set, so I would try this again in the future. And if anybody out there watching this video, if you're breeding Candinos and albinos, maybe you can take a look and we can compare notes. So we got the Candino and the albino. All right, I got one more pair to show you. Okay, so these 2 are from a different clutch. Obviously they look much different. The patterns are different. That's because this one over here has GHI and Pastel. This one over here has GHI. Now, this one also had the darker eyes in comparison to that one. And it has Pastel as well. You can tell that from the lack of orange on the head. But that's not what we're focusing on. What we're focusing on is the fact that it has the darker eyes, and you can see right there, as well as now that they've had some time to grow and put on some size, you can tell the difference in color. This has that lavender color in between the yellows, and this one stayed bright white. So Out of all the breedings this season with albinos and candinos, I got 2 candinos. The one you saw earlier was a straight up Candino. This one is a Pastel GHI Candino. So again, the sample set is still small, but so far we have 2, I guess, experiments. Well, the theory that we had with the darker eyes has proved that to be true in 2 cases. So just wanted to share that. And this one is pastel. So in theory, pastels are lighter in color, but when it comes to albinos and their eyes, albinos and candinos in their eyes, it really doesn't matter because they really don't have any dark pigments to start with for albinos. And then for candinos, they have a little bit of pigment, which is why they have a little bit of darkness, not darkness, it made it sound evil, a little bit darker eyes. And like I said, the candinos have a darker coloration between the 2 yellows, between the yellows. A pure candy would probably have even more pigment in between the yellows. So, but we'll see what that looks like maybe in a couple years when I can put one of these guys back to, not back to, but breed it to a visual candy or a Candino and hopefully produce some pure candies. All right, so just to summarize, the 2 that I identified as Candinos, one being a straight up Candino and one being a Pastel GHI Candino, I'm confident that they are Candinos because the color of their body is indicative to what a Candino should look like. In addition to the darker eye pigment that we saw all along. So they had the darker eyes straight out of their eggs or soon after they came out of their eggs. And that dark eye pigment remained, and then the color of their body came into play as they got some size to them. So based on the clutches that I produced, the theory did prove out. However, the sample set is small, being it's just 2 clutches. I really think we need many, many more clutches, and hopefully based on that, we'll get much more concrete evidence that the eye color of the hatchlings straight out of their eggs is enough to determine whether they're Candinos or not. So that about wraps it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you're new to this channel and you want to be informed of future uploads, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. As always, thanks for watching, please share, and I'll see you guys next time.